Software engineers make the best entrepreneurs. If you don't believe me, you can take a look at the Forbes top 10 list right now and you'll notice that the majority of the billionaires worldwide either have a CS or a CE, so computer engineering background. You might say, well, Bago, that's because majority of the money right now is in tech, and obviously people who are in tech are going to have a CS degree. And to that I'll say, I myself have been in the tech space for close to a decade now, both as an employee making $250,000 a year as a software engineering manager, as well as an employer leading a multi-seven-figure B2B consulting firm located in Los Angeles. And throughout my 10 years, I have worked with countless other developers / software engineers, and I've come to the conclusion that if we adjust our mindset just a little bit, we become the best entrepreneurs on this planet. Let me dive a little further into this. Just so you understand what you're going to get from this video, I'm going to be describing exactly why software engineers make the best entrepreneurs and how you yourself as a software engineer should actually consider entrepreneurship and also how to go about it once you are ready to get started. So first, let's tackle on why I strongly believe that software engineers make the best entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship really is about two things. It boils down to just two concepts that you need to understand. Number one, iterations, and number two, feedback loops. All of entrepreneurship can be broken down to these two things. How many iterations of one particular thing you do, and how short that feedback loop is. Meaning, if I'm going to try something, and it's going to take me a week long, and I'm going to learn, let's say, a certain amount of information from it, versus somebody else who's going to do the same exact thing, but it's going to take them a day, and they're going to absorb a lot more information. That individual is going to have me beat because there's going to come a place, if we do enough iterations, enough feedback loops, they're going to have the knowledge necessary to do exactly what they need to do. And obviously, what's preventing all of us from getting to where we want to get to is the knowledge, not necessarily the execution. Because if we are 100% confident in the knowledge, then we have no fear of failure, which means the execution naturally follows through. So that's really all entrepreneurship comes down to. The number of iterations that we do and how short and efficient our feedback loops actually are pertaining to those particular iterations. As software engineers, we already have one part of the puzzle completely mastered out, more so any other person on this planet. And that actually becomes the feedback loop. For those of you who have a university degree, who have gone through the traditional education, you know how our course structure is set up. You know how you yourself have gotten your job, how you went through your upper division classes, how your brain was trained to think, how you approach algorithmic thinking, how you approach just in general software problems. The way you conceptualize things, the way you think in pseudocode, the engineer's brain is the perfect example of this particular feedback loop. We do a particular thing, right? Let's take a look at debugging as an example. We write out something, we build it out, first try an MVP, we see what the results are, we see the console, we see a bug or an error, we then debug. And that process is essentially our feedback loop. How long does it take us to set that up? How long does it take us to debug? The shorter the time it takes us to debug, obviously the sooner we will finish the project and the better that it will turn out. The longer it takes, well, the longer it's going to take to finish it up. We are very familiar with this particular concept, more so than pretty much any other individual. On top of that, we have relatively higher IQ than the average person, plus we learn things much more quickly than the average person as well. For example, it's easier for us to learn about the concept of accounting or sales or marketing as opposed to a marketer or a salesperson learning about particular technical problems. The one thing that we do lack are the iterations. However, we don't lack it any more so than the next person. When it comes to the iterations, our biggest strength is also our biggest weakness. Because we tend to think rationally, we tend to want logic in anything that we do, we overanalyze, we overthink everything that we do, and we don't give enough iterations to a particular thing to see the results in the success. I have seen this working with thousands of software engineers up to this moment already. The number one problem that I've noticed is, number one, a software engineer wants to get into something, wants to build a project, or wants to get into entrepreneurship. They'll build out a SaaS, they'll do it one time, it will fail, it will not succeed, and then they won't try again. Or if they do try again, they're not going to give it as good of a try as they did the first time. So if we were to think of this as a funnel, if we have 100 software engineers, maybe only 10 of them have actually tried something, of the 10 that actually try something, maybe only 2 tried it a second time, and of the 2 that tried it a second time, maybe only 1 even considered trying it a third time with proper quality. So the iterations is where our biggest problem lies. Out of the dozens of software engineers that I have personally mentored that has achieved ludicrous results when it comes to monetary success, the number one thing that they actually worked on was that iteration. To give it enough iterations, to understand the expectations that they need to do such that they automatically create the feedback loop they need to learn the knowledge to get to the next level. So that is why software engineers make the best entrepreneurs. Out of the things that we need to become a good entrepreneur, we already have one of them pretty much fully capped out. All we need to do is work on the other one to allow for the feedback loop to help us overcome everything else that we need to overcome. Now, how do we actually go about it? Well, the number one thing really that's holding most software engineers back from monetary success, especially in entrepreneurship, is their mindset. It's not necessarily their skills. I would say for the most part, most software engineers are skilled enough to make a lot more money than they're currently making. And it's also their nature to not take as many risks as they should. What I mean by that is, and this is also a little bit in relation to that iteration type of thing that I talked about, not giving it enough iterations, the fear, the internal fear of being out of a job or spending too much money or being rejected or failing or being looked down upon or putting in, let's say, an X amount of time and it not going anywhere and that being a waste of time, all these fears tend to limit us from actually going out and building things and creating things, despite us being a software engineer, and that's what we do day to day. If you want to get started with entrepreneurship as a software engineer, most of the advice to you has probably just been, oh, just get started, do this, do that. But really, the number one thing you have to do is fundamentally sit down with yourself and understand why you want to do it, what's the primary driving force behind you pursuing this type of a goal, and don't just keep it very general like, oh, I want to make more money. Well, why do you want to make more money? Ask yourself why 5 times at least until you get to a very specific answer. After the fact, you have determined why you want that particular thing. Ask yourself what will happen if you do not actually get that particular thing. This will help you, this sort of an exercise will help you as a software engineer really understand what you're chasing and if entrepreneurship even is the right choice for you. Like I said, software engineers make the best entrepreneurs, but that does not mean that every single software engineer should be an entrepreneur. I believe every single software engineer should consider entrepreneurship at least once in their lives to see if they actually like it and if they're going to pursue it. But obviously, I'm not delusional enough to think that every single software engineer in the world needs to become an entrepreneur. Some software engineers still need to be an employee, and for the most part, that is how the world is going to function, because we also need them to do those specific things that they're going to be doing. To sort of summarize everything so you have a better understanding of things, if you're a software engineer right now watching this video and thinking to yourself, okay, I understand I have the natural skills to become an entrepreneur, but I'm socially awkward, or maybe I don't want to take the risk, or I'm missing so many other skills, or I've tried this in the past, it doesn't work. If you have all these things in your mind, understand that fundamentally, all that's really holding you back from knocking these things down one by one is once again that iterative process. To trust yourself enough such that even if you fail, or even if it doesn't work out one time, as long as you do not give up and you try a second time, you will now have more information to work off of it. That will allow you to do better the third time, which will lead to a result potentially the fourth time. That's not to say you should consider failing every single time, because that's the wrong way to go about things, but rather it's such that you understand you have all the ingredients, you have all the resources you need to be successful. You just need to figure out how to be more resourceful as a software engineer. The best analogy I could give for this is if you are a chef in a kitchen, you have all the ingredients right now in front of you, all cut up, nice, neatly set up, but you are missing the actual instructions on how to go about cooking the meal that you want to cook. So the first thing you need to do is find exactly that, those instructions. And for that, you're going to need to work on that iterative process as we talked about. Now, if you want the specifics on how to actually go about this, I'm hosting a live masterclass on this particular topic, more so specifically how to utilize AI as a software engineer in 2026 to go about creating your business. I'm going to be discussing how I am personally using AI in my own business and to be able to afford a lifestyle such as this. And I'm also going to be discussing how countless other developers inside Code to CEO, my private accelerator for software engineers, how they are using to actually go ahead and quit their jobs and transition completely to a business. If you're interested in that, it will be the first link in the description below. You can go ahead and click that and sign up. And if you're interested in working with me, you can go ahead and directly apply to Code to CEO. Just head down to the link below in the description as well. It will be a 5-minute application. You can go ahead and send that in. And if you get accepted, you'll hop on a one-on-one call with me where we will discuss the next steps. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.